As you're aware that for a long time, Africa has been suffering from the issues of underdevelopment. We've been having the challenges of low infrastructure development. Africa has not been trading with itself. We've had the issue of poverty rising in Africa. We've had the issues of the impact of climate change that has highly impacted the continent, especially its food security. But now recently we've seen that Africa has been able to grow and develop. One, we've seen that Africa now is embracing to trade with itself, and the regions within Africa are trading itself. We've seen that right now we are pushing the issues of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that has been able to revitalize and be able to push the economic growth and development for the continent. We've seen Africa being able to push the issues of infrastructure development. Today we are seeing roads are being constructed, not only just roads, but superhighways that are making entry into Africa. We've seen the development of ports. We've seen the development of railway that are not only just helping an individual country, but are helping to ensure that there's integration within the continent. And this what has really changed in the recent years, especially from 2000, where we've seen there was the entry of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation that was able to catalyze Africa's economic growth and development. We've seen also Africa again is its trade is improving. We've seen based on the GDPs that are being published by different groups, for example, the Africa Development Banks. We've seen some of the reports from IMF and World Bank, and we've seen there's a lot of change that is happening. Countries that were once perceived as dark continents, which the Economist published back in the 20th century, but now it's now all of a sudden that Africa is growing and the development is being realized, and people are able now to enjoy development. I think the common characteristic is the discovery of these minerals. As you all aware, is that Africa has been rich on these key minerals for a long time. But the problem is that Africa didn't know the importance of these minerals. Africa did not have industry that are going to process these minerals into useful products. You look at country like Zambia, you look at countries like Namibia, you look at countries like Congo that are rich in key minerals. For example, we have the lithium, we have the cobalt, we have aluminium, we have iron ore. And these countries and these minerals are critical, and especially within the energy transition, the green energy transition. And so, especially within the issues of the batteries and all that, and boosting manufacturing. And so Africans for a long time, they didn't know the usefulness of these minerals. But with the goodness of technology and partners like China, Africa is able to realize the usefulness of these minerals. And these minerals now are helping to spur Africa's economy. China has played a huge role in Africa's rapid economic development. First, we've seen China has been able to provide affordable financial mechanism in Africa. We've seen China use its advancement to provide infrastructure development in the continent. We've seen roads that have been constructed. We've seen railways. We've seen ports. We've seen bridges that have been constructed. We've seen industries that China has constructed. We've seen schools. There are so many hospitals that China has constructed. Within the small but beautiful projects, we've seen China construct boreholes in different parts of the continent. That has really helped Africa to grow and be able to meet the needs of its people. China has opened up its market of a population of more than 1.4 billion people. This has been tremendous because it was able to ensure that Africa is able to trade with China, and also people can be able to push their goods to the market. China has also provided a lot of training to the young people, and this has helped them to secure jobs not only in Africa but also in Chinese enterprises. We've seen the establishment of the Luban workshops, which is part of the TVET projects, that has really empowered and transformed the manpower for the continent of Africa. And so China has really transformed the continent. China has really helped to be able to push some of the things that for a long time were perceived as a pipe dream for the continent. And so, as President Xi said, that the relationship between China and Africa is an all-weather partnership. This shows the significance that China has and the value that China has for Africa. That not just an ordinary continent, but more of a partner that are able to work together. I think this was one of the most successful forum that brings Africans with international partners. We had 51 heads of states and 2 high-level representatives in the level of vice president and prime ministers. It showed exactly where China and Africa are. If you can compare the Indonesia Africa Forum that was taking place during the same time, you'll see the big difference. You'll see that very few heads of state attended, and those even who attended the Indonesia Forum made their way to the forum, FOCAC 2024, and you just see the value that Africa and their leaders have placed on the China-Africa cooperation. And this shows the significant turnaround. The narratives that have been pushed by the Western media, the issues of the debt trap, the issues of overcapacity, have not really had any impact on the relationship between China and Africa. And this was a key message to all partners that China-Africa cooperation is solid. It's there to stay for a long time, and Africans do value the friendship that they have with China. And this because we've seen how China has been to Africa. If I take you back during COVID-19, China was one of the key players that was able to help Africa to overcome and navigate through the complexities of the COVID-19 and its impact on the global economy. Congratulations on the 75th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. We know where China has come from. At some point, China's GDP was at par with Kenya, and today China has become the second largest economy in the world. China is the leading country in the world within the purchasing power parity. China is being viewed as the factory of the world. And these are the things that have made Africans to know more about China, because through this development growth, China has been able to push for these development projects in Africa. Within the culture aspect, most people are getting to know about China through the Confucius institutes that have been established. I've seen most universities right now are embracing the teaching of Chinese language, which is key. It helps people to understand the different civilizations. Remember, China has a rich civilization of over 5,000 years, and this has helped China to be able to be unique and be able to transform itself and its people. I think one is there's the issue of the green energy transition. That's one of the key areas that China and Africa can really partner up. As you know that the continent of Africa, especially the Horn of Africa, the region, has been highly impacted by the issues of climate change. There's a lot of storms, rain, there's drought that has really affected and impacted the food security. And with the partnership with China, especially on the energy transition, it can be able to help the continent tap into its rich resources and be able to be a key player within the global shift on green energy. And it's one of the things that most investors from China are going to benefit from. It's one thing that is going to reduce a lot of noises from the Western media and other players. It's one that is going to help protect the environment and ensure that people are able to coexist with the environment despite the various development-oriented infrastructure development that are happening. This is key. The other sector is that China and Africa can be able to partner in boosting the cultural development. See, both China and Africa, one that they have in common, that they have a rich history of culture. And this is one of the areas that can be able to boost, and by boosting that, China can be able to help Africans be able to modernize their culture through the use of technology. So that we don't lose our culture, we don't lose our history, so that we can be able to preserve it for generations and generations to come, which China has done. If you go to most of the museums in China, you're able to see how they're able to preserve their culture through the issues of technology, which is key for the continent of Africa, so we don't forget where we've come from.